What's new, crew? If you're new, my name is Cassandra. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be 2 dinners that we did yesterday, and then tonight I'm sharing with you guys. Both dinners are very simple, really easy to add to your everyday midweek rotation. One is going to be a really delicious Alfredo pasta, and then tonight we are making pizza burgers. But in both videos I'm showing you guys both of my most remade bread products that we've learned to make basically since 2020. With our pasta dish, we are making these really beautiful garlic ball breads. You don't have to tie any knots, you don't have to do anything. You're just taking your dough, rolling them into balls, and it by far is one of my kids' favorite bread products. I have one kid in particular who despises my homemade bread in all fashions. They just don't like bread products really in general. It's not my homemade stuff, it's just in general. They're not a huge like roll or bread person. They love these garlic knots. They're fantastic, super easy to make. And the cool thing is technically this recipe makes 2 loaves because it rises so much. So you could make one and then make the second one, bake it and put it in the freezer and pull it out at your convenience. For our pizza burgers, of course, we're making our burger buns. These are 40-minute burger buns, super easy to roll out. If making homemade burger buns is not on your like ideal things to do list in the middle of the week, working parents, I totally understand that. But the cool thing about these burger buns is you could make these and store them in your freezer just as you would a burger bun from the store, and they thaw beautifully. And the cool thing is they're actually much more filling than a regular burger bun. They're a lot fluffier, a lot lighter, and we absolutely love these. They also make really good sandwich rolls, and I've even used these rolls left over the next day for breakfast sandwiches. They're fantastic. So if making burger buns is not your ideal thing to do in the middle of the week, I completely understand that, and I can relate to that. So you can always make these ahead, whip them up on maybe Sunday night, put them in a Ziploc bag, store them on the counter, have burgers Monday. Or like I said, you could definitely make these whenever they're convenient for you, on a day off, on an afternoon, a rainy day. I don't know, make them in bulk, put some in the freezer. If not, don't worry about it. Store-bought burger buns are a thing. I still purchase them from time to time, and they're really just that simple. So that's what we're doing today. We're breaking down 2 really easy dinners, very easy ingredients, quality food, and there we go. So let's start with our really beautiful pasta dish that we're making. We are starting off with our garlic ball bread recipe. This is very simple. I will have it linked down below in the description for you. This technically does make 2 loaves tonight. I'm only making 1, but you'll see a little bit. I had a little bit of an issue because my tops got super browned and the middle of my bread ball mixture wasn't quite done. So I highly recommend listening to the instructions, because I did not, and making 2 loaves. When I've done that, I've never had an issue, but this night, of course, because I'm filming it, I had a little bit of a doozy, but that's okay. The garlic knots still tasted absolutely delicious. But get this mixing up a little bit earlier in the afternoon, or like I mentioned in the beginning, you can always prep these ahead of time. Make this on a Sunday night or a Saturday or something like that, or one day randomly in the week where you have off. But this does freeze beautifully. This recipe does call for milk. You can substitute out your milk. I've used almond milk in this. I've also used milk powder in this when I don't have milk on hand, and it has never made the bread come out any different, if you're curious in that. And of course, you have to enlist some helpers here. So my son is helping me roll out these balls. This would be a really good recipe if you're trying to dip your toes in the water to making bread, as well as our burger bun recipe that we're going to be doing in the next kind of section here. Is that they don't really take a lot of skill. Bread making can be really intimidating. I remember how that was for me when I first started, and it just seems much simpler. You're just taking your dough and rolling it into a ball. Now in my little bowl here, we have about half a stick of melted butter. I like to put in basil, garlic salt, and Parmesan cheese. That is our family's favorite mixture. The recipe calls for a whole list of different things, but in a nutshell, you guys, if you don't have all the ingredients, any Italian style seasoning would be good. Even if you have a mixed Italian seasoning, that's totally fine. Basil, oregano, something like that. If that's not your thing, garlic salt, Parmesan cheese, or even just garlic, salt, and butter will be absolutely delicious. You can make this as fancy or as simple as you want, but our go-to: basil, Parmesan, garlic salt. Super delicious. The recipe wants you to roll every ball individually into this butter mixture. I've learned that it just takes a lot of time, and it really tastes no different if you just kind of work in layers like you would a lasagna. Do a layer of balls, pour some butter over the layer, do another layer of balls, pour over that layer. So that's kind of what I do here, and if you need to, you can always melt more butter and sprinkle it as you see fit. That's totally up to you. But I'm pouring on the rest of our butter here, and we're just gonna let these rise for a couple of hours. I think I let mine rise for about 2 hours or so before I ended up baking these. So really up to you. You could try to find a day where that works for you in your schedule, but if not, that's totally okay. Like I said, you can freeze these freeze awesome. So we're heading into later in the day when I actually had to start cooking supper. Another thing is, I was alone this night. My husband has school a couple nights a week, and I'm kind of on my own with the kids, and on those days I really like to do pasta with the kids because I never have to argue with them to eat it. My kids are really good eaters, but sometimes when you're on your own, it's just really nice to have something that's easy, and pasta dishes are usually very easy. I'm using boxed pasta tonight. I'm not even making my own pasta, so very simple and straightforward. In my Dutch oven, all I did was put in 4 chicken breasts, and I seasoned it with a little basil, a little seasoned salt, and pepper. Very, very, very basic. Also, you do not need a Dutch oven. You can do this in a pan, in a skillet, whatever you have is totally fine. I'm just using my Dutch oven because it's big and it's tall, and I'll be able to fit everything into one pot once we get it all together. So once my chicken was mostly cooked, I diced it up and put it back in my Dutch oven, and then right away I wanted to add in my frozen broccoli. I love frozen broccoli. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait for garden season and have lots of broccoli fresh from the garden, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. If you wanted, you could also do cauliflower, you could do spinach, really whatever you wanted. You could throw in peas, but we're doing more of like a broccoli chicken Alfredo. Once I give that a little bit of a stir, I'm gonna put my lid back on my Dutch oven and just kind of let that cook for a while. And I already dropped the pasta in the pot next to me there, and I'm just gonna kind of stir that, make sure that that's all good. And oh, we're just dropping the pasta now. So it comes together very quickly. It's really easy. It's two pots, 2 pans. It's really all you need for this dinner. Once my broccoli and chicken had a little bit of time to cook, I threw in about a half a cup of cream. You can add more, you can add less. I will link this recipe for you down below in the description box. I found this the same day I cooked it on Pinterest. I had all the ingredients. It was not on my meal plan, but because I had everything for it, I just went for it. I also decided to add in about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of chicken bouillon base. The recipe called for, I think, a cup of chicken broth, and that just seemed like it was gonna be very watery to me. But if you want the chicken broth flavor without a lot of the extra liquid, you can keep bouillon base on hand and just throw in a tablespoon or 2 into your dishes. And I'm gonna taste it here, and that's exactly what it needed. Just that little bit of chicken flavor added so much delicious flavor. Once my pasta was cooked, I drained that and added that into the Dutch oven. I topped it with Parmesan cheese, and if it feels like it's too thick, you can always save a little bit of that pasta water and add it into your pasta, and that'll help thin out your sauce a little bit without making it gummy or gunky. That pasta water is key for that. So if you feel like maybe you wanted some of that chicken stock because it's a little thick, add in a little bit of pasta water and you're good to go. So this was dinner tonight, you guys. It was very simple, and we're just waiting for our garlic knots to finish off in the oven, and I just kind of started serving plates, and of course it was absolutely delicious. So this is our first family-friendly dinner for our first 2 dinners here. So you get a little bit of look at that garlic knots. These are really fun because you can pull them apart, and the kids absolutely love to do that. It's kind of like a monkey bread garlic knot. Now we are going to be heading into meal number 2, which is our burgers. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef here. We always get our beef packaged in 2-pound sections just because we feed 6 people on a daily basis. So we're adding pepper, seasoned salt, and a little bit of this seasoning that I got for Christmas. It's kind of like a seasoned salt, but it has more garlic and more onion powder in it. It's delicious, and it's really good in the burgers. It doesn't have a high salt content, so putting it in with the seasoned salt doesn't add a whole lot of salt to it, so that's why we like that. This is my itty bitty burger press that I got from the Dollar Tree. My mother-in-law got it for us, and it's fantastic. I've had issues with it in the past, but I feel like now it's broken in a little bit and I understand how it works. I know that sounds silly because it's just a burger press, but I would have issues with it getting stuck a lot and the burger patties not wanting to come out. But you can see here it's going much smoother. If you've watched any of my meat prep videos in the past, I almost always prep our own burgers and put them in the freezer for ahead of time, and it saves me a lot of time, and it's a lot cheaper than buying burger patties at the store, and they're a lot healthier. They're not full of really yucky things, and I know what's happening with this beef. So I got 5 burger patties out of 2 pounds, which is pretty typical for us. Sometimes I get 6, but today I got 5. Just put a little bit extra meat in my burger patties, wrapped it with tinfoil, put it in the fridge. I do a lot of prepping during nap times for my dinners like this. That way when I'm cooking and my 1-year-old is up, it's a lot easier. She's just turned 1 in December, so she still likes to be held a lot, so it can be difficult sometimes doing more in-depth dinners with a baby attached to me. So I like to do a lot of my prepping during nap time if I can, and then my son gets to help too, which is really fun. So here are our burger patties. I will have this recipe linked down below for you guys. This is something that you definitely could do after work if you wanted to. They're 40-minute burger buns. And this is when I start to realize, what the heck is going on with my mixer? Why does this look so weird? And then I remembered I didn't put my dough hook on. I don't know how I didn't realize that I put a mixer head on and not my dough mixer. I don't know, it happens sometimes. Sometimes your brain is just, you're in autopilot and you're just going, and then you make a mistake and halfway through you realize. But I love this recipe because you put an egg in it and it makes the dough this beautiful golden color, especially with our free-range chicken eggs. They're gorgeous. It just makes a really beautiful golden burger bun. And then before we put them in the oven, you also crack an egg and do an egg wash over it, and they just golden up beautifully. They're fantastic. So once our dough was all mixed and put together here, we're gonna go ahead and roll them out. This recipe says it makes 8 burger buns total. Typically I get 7, but that's just because I don't measure anything. If you really wanted to be precise, you could break out a dough scale, cut out your burger bun balls, and have every bun be the exact same size. If some are a little bit bigger and some are a little bit smaller, that doesn't bother you. You can go ahead and do what I'm doing here. When I do it this way, I typically get 7, and that's perfectly fine with me. To be honest, as long as I get 6, because there are 6 of us, I don't really mind that much. So here we are, rolling out our burger buns, and that's it. I know this is sped up, but from start to finish, making the dough to rolling out the dough balls took me about 10 minutes, not a whole lot of time. And after about 30 minutes of resting or so, I'm putting on our egg wash here. Colt really wanted to help with this. He absolutely loves anything that has to do with our eggs. He loves to collect them, to go out with the chickens and talk to them to get their eggs. And then of course, when we're cooking with them, he absolutely loves them. So I was just kind of showing him, okay, this is what we're doing. And he wanted to try. And sometimes I get comments from people saying, I don't know how you let all the little kids in the kitchen. It gives me so much anxiety. And I totally agree to that. The whole time I was doing this, I was not screaming on the inside, but just going, please don't squish my burger buns. Please don't squish my burger buns. So I kept just giving a lot of positive prompting, just saying make sure that we're being gentle and just trying to help him when necessary with gentle reminders. And that's the only way kids are ever going to learn. And I love to get them in the kitchen. I absolutely love it. And a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance makes it so that after a couple times of doing it with guidance, they can do it completely on their own, and they're always so proud of themselves when they get to do it completely on their own. It's absolutely wonderful, and that's what I strive for in the kitchen, is that at some point they'll be able to do it all on their own. So after he had done all of the egg wash, I went over and just double checked it, put it in the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes. That's really all it takes. If you want to, before baking, you can always add sesame seeds to the top of your burger buns. I never have, but if you wanted to have more of a typical burger bun, you could definitely do that. Guys, I am so sorry. I thought I had my camera turned on and realized I didn't, and I am done. So I am so sorry, you guys. It happens sometimes. Today's just one of those days where it's like just kind of snow piling, and not bad things, but it's just a lot of unexpected, and my brain was just turned off. So now that my camera's turned on and my brain has turned on, very simple, you guys. I just put my burgers in my pan, turned it on, let them cook. The burgers were about halfway done. I dumped in a quart of our homemade spaghetti sauce, marinara sauce, pizza sauce, whatever you have. It's all gonna work the same. I just poured that in on top and around my burgers, topped it with a slice of provolone cheese because that's what I had, and topped them with pepperonis. You could add peppers, onions, do supreme burgers, and we're just gonna add these on top of our burger buns that we made, and this is going to be dinner for them.